What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video where today I want to talk about something different. I wanted to talk about an upcoming movie called Superman Legacy. It releases in July of 2025, basically 2 years away from now. Now, James Gunn released a slate of different movies, including this film, but this movie will start off the new DCU, or otherwise called the DCEU's reboot. So just recently, James Gunn has just released his slate or announcements of all the projects that he's going to do for the DCU, which is very interesting, although I don't want to really talk about them much, considering this is just about Superman Legacy. I am skeptical, though, of all the other films, and I really hope they do well as well. But my main point is Superman Legacy, a film that has to do a lot of things right to get it on the right track. Now, this movie is basically going to start off the new DCU. This is a movie that's going to start off the new universe. Now, this is a movie that means a lot to me, and it means a lot to a lot of other people. And this movie needs to do well. This movie is the start of the new universe. If it doesn't do well, then that sucks. What are they going to do from there? And that's what I wanted to talk about today. Now, let's get off the basics, okay? I have nothing against the old universe. In fact, I do love the old universe. This is one of my favorite universes of all time, or at least franchises of all time, regardless of how consistent or non-consistent it really is. But I want to get off the basis that Man of Steel, Batman vs. Superman, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, all of those, they did get money. They did do well. But the problem is that it was basically put down by a lot of critics and a lot of fans as well. And like I said, I don't hate these films. In fact, I love a lot of them. I do have problems with some of them, but here's the thing. Once that happened, they changed the whole routine into something completely different. We had a whole slate in front of us, and that all changed once all the critic scores went in, once the fans didn't really like it. So my point is that once Superman Legacy is out, and if it does terrible, and if a lot of people don't like it, this is going to change everything. There's a possibility that it will keep going and he really will pursue this universe and WB will trust James Gunn with it. But at the same time, they're basically doing the same mistake they did a long time ago, or at least if it does happen. Now, Superman means a lot to a lot of people. He is the world to them. He is basically the figure of DC. He is front and center, and I am thanking James Gunn so much for doing this because Superman has been left out for a long time. I know he's made a cameo recently, and sadly enough, Henry Cavill is out, and I will miss him. I think he was a great Superman, but now we're going to have to move on to a different type of Superman, one that a lot of people will remember, hopefully, and will inspire others, and will look up to him as he is Superman. Now, not to say that the other movies aren't great or anything like this, but I want to make an example real quick that Man of Steel is basically an Elseworlds tale, or at least in my eyes for the longest time. Although I did want to continue the Snyderverse and see his vision, I think it would be really cool for James Gunn's vision as well. But here's the thing. Henry Cavill's Superman was basically a darker and more gritty version, which eventually was going to turn into the Superman we know and love, but a lot of people want a new Superman. But James Gunn wants a different Superman that basically starts off in the great path and continues on. And hopefully in the future we will see Henry Cavill's Superman maybe in a Kingdom Come storyline or multiverse storyline where he does have a big role. Same with Ben Affleck. The problem I have with the new universe is that this universe is basically taking big risks, and although I do really like James Gunn's stuff, and I do trust him to a great extent, and I know a lot of people from the MCU love him, and there's so many other people out there who also love him as well, including me, and I'm not really an MCU fan. I love his work, I think he does great, I loved Guardians of the Galaxy, the Suicide Squad, Peacemaker, all of that, but I think this guy will basically lead a lot more people to DC than there was before. Now, the problem I have with this universe, which hasn't really been confirmed yet, but is the consistency might be great, but at the same time, you have a world that might take the same actors from the past world into this one. And I'm not saying that's a bad idea, I'm just saying it might confuse audience members. We basically threw out Henry Cavill and we threw out Ben Affleck, but if we keep Gal Gadot, a lot of people are going to be confused because when I think of that, I always think of Gal Gadot right next to Ben Affleck and right next to Henry Cavill in Batman vs. Superman. That's the vision I see every time I think of her Wonder Woman. And the problem with that is a lot of people are going to see this as like, wait, that's the Wonder Woman from the other movie, but I thought this was different. Did they recast them or what happened? And my point is a lot of people aren't really going to go see The Flash. I'm not saying a lot of people aren't going to go see The Flash. I'm just saying a lot of people that want to follow this timeline is probably going to be confused because they didn't follow the last timeline. The Flash takes place in the DCEU. It might set up the new DCU, but at the same time, it's really confusing. Another thing is Peacemaker, a spin-off of The Suicide Squad, which is basically a sequel or a soft reboot to Suicide Squad, which features Ben Affleck in it. That franchise is still continuing. Everything after The Flash is basically the next DCU, including Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2, and the rest of his slate, but it also includes Waller, a TV show that involves Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, but also shows the Peacemaker team from the DCEU. The problem I have with this is how are they going to explain it, considering we had Ezra Miller's Flash and Aquaman, we had the silhouette of Superman, sure, but it was the same suit. The reason a lot of this will also confuse audiences is because we have a prequel to Wonder Woman and Wonder Woman 1984 called Paradise Lost. And let's say it really is Gal Gadot playing as Wonder Woman, which we really have no confirmation, but considering they already stated that these actors, not all of them will leave, but a lot of them will. So basically, some of the movies that were in the past universe are still existing, or at least an alternate version of them will. And like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it will be really confusing to audiences, or at least in my opinion, general audiences will get confused if they're trying to follow this new timeline and don't really care about the old one. Now, here's the thing. Superman Legacy, it doesn't have to involve any of that, actually. It really just has to be about Superman and him growing as a person, him growing as a character, him growing as he's adapting these powers. He's meeting people like maybe Lois Lane, or he's meeting Jimmy Olsen, and that's all it really has to be about. I mean, obviously, there's going to be stakes in it, hopefully, and it will be very different from the other ones, because at the end of the day, I don't think a lot of people want another Superman movie that's really similar to the old ones or the new ones. I think you should do a mix of both. Do something completely different that no one has had before, because even though it might have not happened in live action all the time, there's a lot of Superman stories that happen repeatedly, repeat after repeat. It happens in the story, it happens in the comic books and animations all the time, and I really don't want something like that. I do trust James Gunn to an extent, and I do think this movie will be good, or at least to an extent, and I think a lot of people will love it if it does stay true to the character. I think the fact that they're making a new DC universe and having Superman back and all that jazz will grab a lot of audiences' attentions, especially with James Gunn in the mix, because he was a part of Marvel and a lot of people like his work already. They already know how his movies are. They've seen Suicide Squad, they've seen Guardians of the Galaxy, they've seen a lot of his work, and they really like it, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm sure that Superman Legacy will be a great film. The problem I have with it is that what if it doesn't make any money? Will they go back to the DCEU again, or would they just go back to Henry Cavill? Are they going to start off again? I'm pretty sure they won't. I think they will keep pursuing this, and they will try their best to do it, but I really don't know where they would go off if they're not going to make any money. Now, on the positive side of things, a lot of people have bought a lot of comic books that James Gunn have based his stuff off and basically sold out right away, and that is really good, honestly. That shows that you have a large fan base there and that they're very interested in your stuff. And I think that's a really good thing, because that really shows who's there, how many fans you got, the audience in general. A lot of people really like this stuff and they're really interested in it, and I'm pretty sure this thing will start off a new thing. Now, if you liked the video, please leave a like down below. Comment down below what you think about Superman Legacy and the DCU. Are you excited for Superman Legacy? Do you think it will fail? Do you think it'll be a success? Comment down below what you think. If you'd like to see more of these videos, like I said, like and subscribe, and thank you guys for watching. Bye.